definitely always been a fan of the franchise. So it's such a film school at every level, not just to do horror, but just how to do a timeless classic. It was a total privilege when I got the chance to work with Ridley and making a new one. It's just one of those pinch yourself moments.
Watching anyone's version of something I've already done, there's always trepidation. I thought Alien needed a really fresh view. I'd seen 3 of his films, and I knew he could do it.
Several years ago, Fede approached Scott Free with an idea for a new take on the Alien franchise. That take was developed, and with Ridley's guidance, Fede began to work on the screenplay.
It was 3 years ago now when we had the first conversation with Ridley about it. He was actually the first one to see it. I didn't show it to the studio, I didn't show it to anybody, and it was like, as soon as it was done, it was like, okay, the first thing we do, we said to Ridley, I make horror movies, so nothing scares me a lot, but I was terrified of like showing Sir Ridley Scott my version of Alien. I was super happy, obviously, that you enjoy the movie.
I actually said you got a huge movie here.
Yeah. The Aliens have been a lot of things, and that's the beauty of it. Every director took it in a different direction. That's what makes it so unique and special and completely different from most movie franchises. I felt what I wanted to do was to take it back to the beginning and make it a pure horror movie again.
I don't know if I've met anyone in my life who understands this franchise better than him. I mean, he knows frame by frame of every single Alien movie that has ever been made. To have that deep well of knowledge, you can sort of lean on it.
Once it gets really close, you see it, but it was there all the time.
Right.
Fede Alvarez is one, if not the best director at the moment working in the horror space.
Oh my God.
He's a director that cares about great characters, great stories, the nuance of telling stories in this space.
When you look at Evil Dead, you look at Don't Breathe, and you look at an Alien franchise, as a fan, you really feel that this is a good fit.
This is his like forte, kind of horror and creating suspense. He's a master of it.
The hallway's temperature is now equal to your body's, so the creature should not be able to see you.
Fede is a veteran for creating suspense, horror, tension.
Panic will spike your temperature and you'll be exposed. Now, stay calm and stay quiet.
He's so specific in everything.
Zoom goes in action.
Character, the emotional moment, the frame, the camera movement.
It's the other thing about Fede. He does everything himself. He does rely on the crew to help him with his vision, obviously, but he's a unique filmmaker that he is an all-rounder.
Alien Romulus takes place between Alien and Aliens, a few decades after Alien. The reason for that was mostly that's the world I wanted to travel to.
The genesis really was, how do we make an Alien film for 2024? You know, what does that mean? What does it look like? Honoring the films that have come before, but also really feeling like this title and this franchise and these characters have a place in cinema right now.
There's a deleted scene from James Cameron's Aliens where you get to see Newt and a bunch of kids running around the colony. And I remember seeing that and thinking, wow, what it would be for kids that age to grow up in a colony so small where there's nothing to do. And I was imagining what would happen with those kids when they become teenagers.
So, Ray, long time no see.
You're looking at young kids who are living in an environment that's not sustainable, who are fighting for their lives.
You need to wake up, because this company are not going to give us anything. You know that as well as I do. We have to take it.
It's not about reproducing the story, it's not reproducing the characters necessarily. It's truly about reproducing the emotions that the best versions of these films have given you.
It was a standalone story that you didn't need to know what had happened in other Alien movies, but at the same time, there was references that made it real fun, I think, for people who are true Alien fans.
He's sprinkled Easter eggs all across the whole film. There's little lines, little set pieces, and moments that I think the real hardcore fans will really appreciate.
Is this gonna be a stand-up fight, sir, or another bug hunt?
We have a flash of some of the original cast, like John Hurt, on a screen.
The Xenomorph that has been kind of strung up in the lab is the same Xenomorph that Ripley shoots with a harpoon in the original film. If you're very eagle-eyed, you might actually see that harpoon as well.
If you haven't seen them, that's fine. Like I always said, if you haven't seen any of these movies, I'm jealous. You'll have a treat being introduced to all that universe all at once. But if you have, you'll definitely find all the connections to the other movies. When you hear the sound, like, you don't know where that came from. It's a great piece of television.
How to give direction to a Gen Z.
It was the fact he cast such young people. So that was a really valuable asset.
It's a group of friends. They all know each other for a long time. They grew up together in this colony. Rain Carradine, she works in the farming side of things, and the rest of her friends works in the mines.
I would describe Rain as any young girl who wants to live a normal life, who has been hit with tragedy after tragedy. She lost her parents. She's living on a planet that is falling apart. She has been forced into a position of survival.
Kaylee's playing, I almost wrote the movie for her. I mean, I met her a few years ago. I saw her work, and I was constantly gravitated towards her work.
And action.
When I start to write the movie, I usually do a fantasy casting, like I just pick up random photos of actors, and I put them on the board, on the wall, so I have a face to connect with the character I'm writing. And the first photo that went up at the board was Kaylee's. I knew that that was Rain.
What was so great about what Sigourney did and how I feel similar with Rain is that it's not necessarily a badass character. Ripley wanted to have a normal life, and then she's put into a place of survival. Rain is just trying to look for a home and security.
She has a surrogate brother who happens to be a synthetic. When her father was very sick, he left Andy to take care of her. They grew up together, and she sees him as a sibling.
He's a synthetic, but I don't think that there's been one like him. He's malfunctioning in many ways. He's not all put together.
He's playing two completely different characters. Such different intentions, different accents.
I have just one directive: to do what's best for the company. Really interesting on a page. As an actor, I'm always drawn to those things that feel a little bit other and a bit strange.
Andy explores what being human really means, what you do for your family. And David Johnson, he is absolutely incredible in it, and it's been such a treat to work with him. Rain and Tyler have a romantic history that I don't think it's ever really discussed inside the film, but hopefully you feel that there was something going on.
Tyler starts off with the idea that he can get to a better place, wants to give everyone the best opportunity of a better life.
2, 1, action!
Archie Renault. Oh my goodness, we call him Dad. He just pulls out these dad jokes non-stop. I look forward to it every single day.
Take a good look outside the window. This is the way I see it, we're never coming back.
His character, Tyler, is under so much pressure, being the leader of the group and having a little sister to look after.
Kay is Tyler's little sister, and after passing of their dad, Tyler feels the responsibility to fill those shoes. Isabella plays it so beautifully, you just want to look after her and make sure she's all right.
Spike Fern is playing Bjorn. He's got a sort of roughness and a rawness about him.
He comes off as like this rebel youth in a way, aggressive and angry.
Getting to know Spike just made playing the Bjorn and Navarro dynamic so much easier. He really embodies the comedic relief of the whole ensemble.
Aileen plays the pilot. She actually sat down with a real pilot to help go through things that you'd be saying and things that she'd be checking before takeoff.
All right, starting her up, batteries on.
Right off the bat, I felt comfortable with Aileen. Aileen has just this amazing energy. You want to tell her everything.
3, 2, 1, go!
Please don't, listen.
On the script, we had this synthetic called Rook. Rook was always going to be a torso in the movie. We knew it was a way of fleshing out the computer and mother in a way. We got the guys from Legacy to build a real animatronic that was going to be in the table, that could interact with the characters, that could move, that could talk.
must complete the mission.
Fede felt very strongly from the beginning that we would use an animatronic puppet to be Rook because he's completely damaged. There's only half of him. He's certainly had an interesting meeting with the Xenomorph.
So then came the moment to decide how this Rook's going to look like. And we thought, well, it's going to be a robot. It can look like anybody. In the world of Alien, you've seen some likeness being repeated many times. So we thought, like, Ian Holm will be the perfect Rook.
Please allow me to introduce myself. I'm Science Officer Rook, and I humbly request your services now.
Obviously, Ian Holm had passed away a couple of years ago, so I started just a conversation with his widow and his family and his kids. Thank God they loved the idea, and Ridley loved the idea, who was really close to Ian, and everybody signed off on this adventure of trying to bring him back.
In 1979, he was maybe 43 years old, and there are no molds of him that exist. So you can't scan him and do molds like we would do today to make exact replicas. So the challenge was, how do you recreate someone from a moment in time that has to be so iconic and so spot on?
We found a live cast of Ian Holm from '99 that he had done for The Lord of the Rings when he was playing Bilbo. From that head cast of Ian Holm is that we start building the animatronic to make sure the likeness was uncanny.
It took a lot of R&D. Finally, we landed on the plan that we can have it be at least 95% successful for shots, but you have to take it the next extra step for certain shots to do some CGI work in the eyes and the mouth to bring it even further along.
So we started with a puppet that Legacy built, an animatronic puppet. It was fantastic, but we have to augment it to really bring it to life. That's where a bit of CG comes in and some fine compositing and some machine learning to help make him be that Ian Holm lookalike again.
Those original movies are so grounded and so practical in their approach that I knew in order for this to be scary, it needed to be gritty and real and grounded. The rule of thumb was, if it can be done practical, it will be done practical.
You have that rod here, and you press it hard against the grid. Use a very stable point, because otherwise it will be all wobbly, and there's no CG grid that I can add there to make it work.
Everything apart from the colony exterior is built on stage. So the Corbellin's built on stage, the Renaissance, the big spaceship's built on stage. The trailer we're sitting in here is built to shoot as an interior on stage.
These sets really help with the acting because you're really just reacting to what is in front of you. And they're absolutely incredible and massive and so immersive.
If we're meant to drink it, we can drink it. If we're meant to touch it, we touch it. If we're meant to, like, move it, we move it.
He wanted it to fit between the first and second movie and make it look like we made it between the first and second movie. The visual was more of the 80s version of the future than now.
There's, these massive 80s computers and labs, and I've got like high-top Reeboks that sort of pay homage to the boot that Ripley wears.
They curled my hair to make it kind of look more 80s, and the hairstyle with the half up, it's like, I think that's also like a sign of the times for the 80s, is that curly kind of signature look.
The approach with Neyman Marshall, a production designer, was we knew the story for its first hour or so was going to really pretty much live in the world of Alien.
It's a tough challenge to design into the pocket of something else. We didn't want to create a new version of it. So deep research dive into Alien and Aliens, many screen grabs of textures and colors and shapes. Back when those films were made, technology only allowed sets to be built a certain way, and it was almost futuristic. Nowadays, you can design anything you want, push print on a 3D printer or a CNC machine. It comes out however you want it. So Fede and I really wanted to make sure that we weren't just doing something that you could press print.
It's really fun to kind of step in and be like, wait, I'm in a spaceship, but it's the 80s?
When we first started talking about the concept of the Renaissance, we really loved the Remus and the Romulus story, breaking the ship in two parts and giving a difference in style slightly. So the Remus we're modeling more off of the Alien film that's a little bit more dark and maybe eclectic with a bit more use and aging. and then the Romulus side is a little bit slicker, and I'm hoping that when the audience, when we transition through the movie and they see that transition from the Remus to the Romulus, you'll kind of feel a little bit of a difference as we lean back into the aliens.
We build all the sets without any CG help almost, just really because what's inspiring for me is to walk on set every morning and actually see it and be living in the world.
So we're in the genetic research lab of the Remus side. This set in particular is exciting because it's the first time when we come into the ship that we're actually able to see where we're at and what genre we're in. We just finished shooting in here, so the place is a bit of a mess, but on purpose because this ship has been weightless and the gravity generator's turned off. So everything's been uprooted and then dropped. All the equipment is kit bashed and created from a variety of parts. As you can see, it's a real keyboard with a buried iPad. And in order to make it feel like one of the old TV screens, the rear projection, we vacuum form these plastic pieces which fit over iPads in order to give that refraction and the warping of the image. Now we're into the cryo lab. This, in theory, is the inside of like a freezer or a meat locker. These printers are printing the face huggers, and then they go into these cartridges, and then once printed, the cartridge swings down, vacuum forms the face hugger in here. The idea is that this keeps it at an optimal temperature, but once the power gets turned off in here, they start to melt, and these come to life, and they start dropping. They'd hit the water, and that's when we kick off that scene. So this set was built in a tank that we could flood with water, and then we melted paraffin wax on top to create that icy, slushy look. And we had nitrogen coming from all the tubes and dry ice containers, kind of giving that cold.
And action.
Good. I knew from the get-go that we were going to build every creature for real. We were going to bring the original creators of those creatures and have them bring back to life all these classic characters.
So we have Legacy and Alec Gillis. They're bringing what they did in the first movies with the new technology they have, but it's still doing that practically.
With the new Alien film, Fede Alvarez's, I think I'm up to about 5 Alien movies.
So the life cycle of the creature always starts with a face hugger.
So cute.
The guys from Weta, they were the only ones in the group that had never worked on Alien and they were dying to be part of it. So we go, okay, you guys get the face huggers.
I had a very close encounter with one. Bjorn saved the day a little bit. Well, he did save the day a lot.
This is our proboscis facehugger. This is what attacks Tyler in the cryo chamber. So there's a series of cables attached up to these guitar tuners. As we move this disc in every direction, you get. So this is another version, just a straight silicon tail. Sometimes we would put a little bit of fishing line on these and puppeteer the tail that way. These ones you pull them and the claws will open up.
We had rubber puppets that we just throw at the actors' faces. We had full-on animatronics that we could puppeteer. When they were struggling in someone's face, we could just really puppeteer them and all their parts. We even had an RC car that was my favorite thing on set. It was an RC facehugger that I could drive around and get it to run between people's legs and go. It was a terrifying thing.
The scenes where the cast is walking through the corridors and amongst all the facehuggers that are sort of lying dormant waiting for them. Fede really gave us a lot of artistic license to figure out different gags and to find interesting places to put them. So we worked with the set deck department and basically cut holes in big crates and hid puppeteers inside the crates. Re-rigged all of our puppets so that they could work in this, confined little environment.
What are the odds?
60-40 against your friend.
But odds on what?
Have the creature's finished its job already?
The chestburster was originally designed by the great Swiss surrealist H.R. Giger, who did the creature effects for Ridley Scott's original 1979 Alien. And there's not a lot of improvement that's necessary or required for the chestburster. We have done some updating of techniques. We've given it some little arms that move, and we've given it more articulation. We've even given it a color-changing aspect where it darkens. Generally speaking, what we tried to do was create a very organic version of the character, translucent and muscular.
I would love to see the bones popping up on Lucas' shot. There you go.
Fede wanted to see it bursting at the rib cage and then crack the sternum open and then work its way out almost as if it's exhausted, and also have a birth sac around it that kind of tears and peels back. Working backwards from that, we realized, well, we can make this chest burster a little bit smaller. We thought we would scale the chest burster to Alien Wu. So we really made a chest burster that was about half the size of previous chest bursters.
This looks freaking amazing. I really have the easiest job, you know, I just have to lay there and scream. They built a fake torso that I kind of had to wear as a front backpack, and I'm standing / sitting in a hole in the corbellin. And then my fake legs are attached, and then they cut a hole in the pants of my fake legs, and that was the point of entry for the chest burster puppet, so that I could come up to the little door that is my busted ribs.
Slowly.
I think we had 9 puppeteers to just do that scene. Everybody under the tables and on the floor, it's all hands on deck. Everybody had hands that were free. We had to puppeteer something different because every little hand, every finger, the saliva, the head, the move, everything that required a person. As a director, you grew up dreaming about one day being able to see those things happen in front of you and give the audience a scene that feels so real and crude and raw as that scene feels in our movie. Just because it's all real, there's no CG whatsoever involved in that scene. Shane Mayhem from Legacy was all work on Aliens, create the Queen himself on the first movie with Stan Winston team. So I gave him the Xenomorph.
All of our artists, all of the concept artists and digital artists were very, very keen on making the Xenomorph feel like the original film. In this story, they're engineered by the Weyland-Yutani Company. So they've taken a Xenomorph and they've concocted their own method of how the life cycle works. So it sort of breaks the traditional egg, facehugger, chest burster, Xenomorph cycle. Fede, that he wanted the surfaces very rough, very, very sharp. He wanted it to feel as if the character ran their hand against it, much like a shark's skin, they would be cut.
The translucent dome, there's kind of like a vertebrae understructure, is like really remarkable just to see all that structure in there, backlighting the character. And with the new anatomy, the kind of more spindly anatomy, I think made a more unusual looking Xenomorph.
Wow, I want nails like this. It's beautiful, it's like shiny.
As far as the animatronic component of these goes, we have a full-size, fully robotic animatronic puppet of what we call like the hero Xenomorph character. And then we've got a lighter weight rod puppet that is still animatronic but can be around by a single performer to get sort of a more rapid and dynamic performance. We have several animatronic heads that our suit performer Trevor can wear on his suit.
He's huge. He's being played by like a very large man. Which is funny because that's exactly what Ridley did with Alien 1. And going back to those basics feels very authentic to the franchise, but also like scary because he can run.
There were lessons that I remember from the James Cameron film. We were constantly putting, drool and slime on the mouth, and with gravity it runs away. Diego was tasked with making a drooling mechanism.
The drooling stuff's pretty simple. It's just these pumps, and I just added some wireless controls to it. We could just kind of hide it anywhere and put it wherever it needs to be and pump drool on demand.
Creatures like this represent chaos in many levels. Something you cannot talk to or negotiate is always the most terrifying thing. When it's such a powerful and strong creature, but also is very human as well. The humanoid aspect of the creature, I think, is what really puts fear in your heart.
To be able to react to the actual creatures, one part of me is like squealing with joy, because we really don't see that on a lot of sets anymore.
When you read about the experiences of people watching the first Alien, losing their minds. The birth of the creature was such a shock. It takes a whole movie to kind of grasp what that thing is. It was pure horror, you know, true horror. That's the ambition with this movie. It's really not only for the people that saw it and loved the originals, but also for the generation that never seen one. Will be introduced to this universe through this film. I can't wait to see their faces.
Cut!
I have a special obsession with trying to put the audience in a place where they cannot conceive how they're gonna get out of it. Two people on a corridor trap and about to face a horde of Xenomorph, that would be enough for most movies. But here, not only you shoot them, then you have acid and zero G, why not? And then we think it's over, oh no boy, you have to go through all this elevator shaft. Then the gravity comes back. And then there's more Xenomorphs, and there's an elevator that's unhinged and might fall on your face. And then there's face huggers. And Andy killed the Xenomorph in a way that is very cinematic, I would say.
Event in 10, 9.
My process is a bit insane sometimes, but when I'm shooting the scene, it has to work in front of my eyes. And so we're gonna have this big set piece on the elevator shaft in zero G with Xenomorphs and facehuggers hunting them, and also an elevator that is unhinged that might go up and down at any moment.
What we've done is we built essentially 4 elevator shafts, all different sizes and sections. 2 of them horizontal, 1 of them just has the interior of the elevator with a moving wall behind it, so we get the feeling that we're moving and we get Andy holding on to it there.
Everything you see on that scene when it comes to the characters is all real. They're floating. We actually make the whole illusion better because once we had the actors on wire, the gravity was going to be pushing in a direction that you don't suspect. It was going to be pushing to a side, and so it really creates this great illusion of having the actors like spin in zero G.
Our elevator has been built in multiple sets, but we needed one that we could do the action in. And because we're weightless in this situation, we needed something that we could fight against gravity, so we decided to put it on its side so that we could have a different setup. Within this set, we have incorporated stunt rails so that all the harnesses and all the mechanics actually are designed into the set. So we can have trolleys that run through here with one point in the center. And the set lended itself very well to having mechanical fixtures in there.
We had the whole elevator shaft built horizontally. We could really pull those wires and get Kaylee to travel from one far end of the other one at like an incredible speed and create what it feels like an incredible thrilling fall in the movie.
These are just normal people who are in a life or death situation, so it's messier, it's more grounded. Once we do get to that point where we're doing those stunts and I am fighting for my life.
Come on. We're doing zero gravity work, which is very intense on your core. I like to do my own stunts where I can, not to be cool, but just because it's fun. That's one of the joys I take in the work.
It's just so physical to be able to do the spins they do, and they had to really work out, you know, which translates into great drama. I think the trick to keep it feel real was to make sure that every time we were close to them and every close of every impact was actually a practical Xenomorph. We created old camera tricks and techniques just to do this movie with techniques that were available 40 years ago. And we managed to create something that's way more photorealistic than if we would have done CG characters floating or people on the green screen. We also did a few shots against an LED wall where the actual background shot before and then put into a screen to get more close-ups. So some of those close-ups, what you see in the back is actually a screen, like an LED wall, protecting the real background. There was intention from the beginning to almost quote directly moments from previous films. The face-to-face, obviously, it's a classic moment from Fincher's Alien 3. That is the first time that happened between Sigourney and the Xenomorph. It's never one technique. We knew that once we got to the horde climbing out the elevator shaft, there was no way around it. We were gonna need some CG.
Once we're in the elevator shaft, there's lots of things we have to enhance. So we were able to build a 5-story horizontal set. Sometimes you have to extend in order for it to feel like a 20-story elevator shaft. We have to remove cables and harnesses. We have to add atmosphere, things floating around, and then just help continuity as the cuts come together. The way we went about catching Rain when she falls in the elevator shaft is we actually had her on a harness with the stunt team. They did a great job of descending her and grabbing her.
Obviously, everything had to do with her performance. We did it on the practical tunnel.
In the editorial room, Betty wanted it to be a little bit more dramatic, and of course, our Xeno has to catch her. So on the day, we had wrapped a partial Xeno tail around her so we could shoot, and then that would be connected to her and make it feel like he really grabbed her. But to get the fall to happen and to make it as dramatic as Fetty wanted, we ended up adding a CG Xeno connected to that tail so that it feels very dramatic, like he caught her.
Sometimes it takes me out if I think, oh, that's not possible. If someone would have fallen so hard and to get catched up, it will die. So we needed to slow down her fall.
Visual effects put a previs together, which Fede has kind of gone and created himself with the visual effects guys. You know, we know where the vertical set stops and where the horizontal set starts. So that is a great indicator for us.
As often with action, editorially that problem you have is that what you're trying to tell is really a series of events that all happen simultaneously, but you have to somehow unpack them and allow them to happen so the audience can track these things. The gravity purge kicks in. Suddenly Rain's falling, but then not only is she falling, you then have the elevator that has previously been held in a state of non-gravity, also the acid that has been hanging in the air for such force. So you suddenly are forced into a very quick editing style. The truth is, Rain falling down the elevator shaft, the whole thing would take 3 seconds. Then yet, we also have to show Andy catching the elevator and also the acid falling to the ground. We were able to achieve a lot of small insert shots. Sometimes we can solve that digitally, sometimes we can take an actor's reaction and create a moment. There are always going to be things in the edit that push it a little bit further.
And from there, we go through the sequence where Andy realizes he has to save Rain. And then ultimately ride the Xeno down to the bottom of the elevator. It's a great mixture of every technique you can think of. We had a practical Xeno that we had at the bottom. We end up having to mix some CG pieces with Andy in the middle just to get the fall correct so we wouldn't hurt an actor, obviously. And just intermix it with CG pieces here and there, but all based on the photography and grounded from the set.
On the original script, it was the elevator that killed the Xenomorph. I was feeling at some point that Andy had gone through all this journey and this transformation, and Andy will make this leap of faith and plunge to a potential death to save his sister, just like she had saved him a few minutes ago.
Get away from her. You bitch.
This film is very tonally referential to the original 2 films, and one of the ways that's illustrated is with the sort of comeback of a one-liner.
The line was not scripted. I remember going and whispering down David Johnson's ear, like, what if you say this? And he was like, do you think? I was like, I think we should try it. And he gave a great performance.
When we screened it, the test screening, it got a huge cheer in the theatre, so I think Fede felt vindicated.
It took you so long.
Let's get you out of here.
My process is one of convincing myself I'm not doing enough, and that's why it's almost madness. I like movies that just really keep pushing it, and never have a dull moment. You never know how far it's gonna go. It was a big challenge, and I'm really proud of how the scene ended up.
Man who started all, Sir Ridley Scott.
My first memory of Alien is not actually watching the movie. It was actually kind of a featurette that showed some images of the movie. There's something about the look of the movie. Science fiction can get dated very fast, and Alien hasn't aged a day. I mean, it's obviously you have an amazing eye. You were born with an amazing eye. So was it something, is there any decision you made while you're making the movie that go, I'm not going to do this because that's going to date it? Is there any conscious decision you made it?
Well, I was never an extreme fan of science fiction way back when. And so the door was always closed for me until one afternoon I decided to go and see Stanley Kubrick's 2001. A 70mm print, and I sat there devastated by his technique and the sets that were seen and thought through. So from that, I definitely copied a lot from Alien, for sure.
When I think about that script, and because it wasn't a big budget by any means, you know, if I imagined reading that script with the money that was at hand, I was like, you get to the end, they come out into the planet, and they see the derelict ship. You see it there, and you're like, what? You know, how do you imagine how we're going to do this? It was always miniatures.
Well, the reason why is this. The model, given the money, God bless my production designer, and Roger Christian, Les Dilly, the money for the set was terrible. The mountain range was this high, and I didn't have George Lucas's blow-by-blow, step-by-step Star Wars technology. So I looked at the room and tried smoke, and it looked terrible. So I said, can we get a portable 16mm camera? I want to shoot in 16. Shot in 16, I put it through the TV set, and I filmed the TV set.
And you filmed the TV set?
It works in with the fact that Ash is watching on video. And so suddenly the whole thing had scale.
And it makes it terrifying as well. Like
it's weird.
You feel like you're there, like that's the way people will see a spaceship like that for the first time.
You see through Ash's eyes first.
Let's get out of here.
We've got this far, we must go on.
And then you do something that is brilliant, that is like, I watched this movie a lot of times, let's put it that way. But it wasn't until I watched it for Alien Romulus that I realized, it was like, what's happened with the astronauts when they go, with the crew, when they go inside the ship? They realized, you have fooled me, that you made it look bigger by having kids playing the crew.
My two kids made the set look twice as big. My two kids this side, you put them in a set.
But everything looks bigger.
It's suddenly twice as big. See?
Amazing. Every monster, I think, you know, when it's the shark on Jaws, or you name it, it always taps into a primal fear that people don't even know. There is something that people are terrified of specifically, that creature happens to represent. Did you ever thought hard about why did it work so well?
I'm going to hand this to Dan O'Bannon, because I was saying the script and dynamics are fantastic. It really is 7 people getting out of a little tin can in space. And they're getting out because you've got to have a beast. The beast had better be great, otherwise you've got a bad horror film. And Bannon was showing me the book Necronomicon by Giga. He said they don't want him, they think it's obscene. I said, obscene's good. So from that, I flicked to the book, and there he was. I said, this is it. I've never been so sure in all my life that this is it. I just kept doing that. So they said, okay, will Giga do it? I said, well, let's fly him in. Giga would not fly. So I had to fly to Switzerland, and I found him living on a kind of Pebble Dash state housing. Inside was his universe. I went in there to find a very mild, lovely man, and I convinced him, you must do the movie, you must do the movie. And Jerry Goldsmith, the score for Alien was incredible.
Incredible.
It's probably one of his best scores. It's so even disturbing today. He hits that note that is disturbing.
The delay flute?
The delay flute, C minor or something. Immediately, it's chilling. Whatever you're doing, it's chilling.
It's so clever about how you never really see the creature. It triggered my imagination in such a way because you weren't showing me what it was. You just see the chains. I remember thinking the chains was part of the monster. Because you see the sounds of the chains there.
Oh, Harry gets,
Yeah, when Harry gets it, he looks up and you don't really see it. He's down there, he comes down behind him. It's still a vivid, super vivid memory of watching that and understanding that some sort of, you know, dark devil took this guy, and I never knew what it was.
Yeah, I thought the creature was a large, giant, beautiful insect.
Yeah.
So the less you see him, the better. Yeah,
and I could only imagine on the face of the cat, the way the cat was just staring at it.
Yeah.
And that stayed with me forever.
The cat was great.
The cat was fantastic.
So was Harry.
Seems she has intercepted a transmission of unknown origin.
A transmission? Out here?
I was meeting Sigourney for the first time. Do you remember that?
Funny enough, I'm only 2 films in, but what I know the most important thing you can do in any film you do is to find the very best cast you can. Script first, then cast. The rest follows. And couldn't quite come across the combination of the female character who felt that she should be a little bit athletic to be able to cope with what was going to happen during, and yet a good actress. And one day you got a call, I'm certain, Warren Beatty said, there's a girl on Broadway, off Broadway, you should meet her. She's called Sigourney Weaver. I think that's how it happened.
Well, you know, I'm sure it was a whole experience for her, like because she had done just a small movie, and that's.
I think it must have been scary for her. Yeah. But she embraced it so.
She was surrounded by very seasoned, actors as well.
But the cast were also, there was no what I'd call, Skerritt was a bit of a star.
Yeah.
Tom. But because there's no dominant star, I think they all felt like a team. I think the cast were fantastic.
And when Alien Romulus started to come about, we had a Zoom call. I remember telling people on the phone call, I was like, I've been doing this enough and met a lot of people enough that I don't really get nervous about, like, oh my God. And that was the first time in many years when I was really nervous. I was like, well, obviously you're a master of this craft. And for me, it's one of the best privileges ever to meet the masters, and mostly because I want to learn and I want to be better at what I do. And those are the few chances when you have that. And I remember, like, when I told you basically what the story was about, you could tell right away what worked and what didn't, what was going to be effective. And now looking back, having made the movie, you were completely right. Like, you were like, this story, that's great. That's what the movie's about. That's what you should tap into. That was something that I always
said
stayed
you got
with
a
me
huge,
forever.
you got a huge movie here.
You work on these movies, and then it's all about the day you're finally going to share it with an audience, right? Do you remember, like, that night of being there, like showing to the crowd for the first time, not know how they're going to react to them? Do you have any memories of that?
At that moment in time, there'd been 3 really good horror films: Texas Chainsaw Massacre, The Omen, and The Exorcist. They were perfect engines of fear and terror, right? You're seeing things you hadn't seen before, or put under stress to see what you hadn't seen before. And the violent sections, it was so violent that the audience reacted. So the executive says, the film's too violent, I said, how can it be too violent? So I'm arguing, it can't be too violent. We're doing a horror movie.
But back then, why did they go back the next day, and next day, and make it a massive hit?
I think it was the talk by what they call it, the water cooler the next day.
Yeah, no, absolutely.